am a poet and a vocalist from Los Angeles, California.
Somewhere dozing in subway stations and flying high on the 405 and taking the L to Brooklyn and the 15 to Vegas and the MARTA through Atlanta and cruising down a dark street in Oakland is a poem. This poem comes from somewhere deep, somewhere where the angels sleep, where pixies dance and mermaids weep, where hymns are hummed so God will keep us all in mind on Judgment Day. This poem warns but does not sway. For what you do is up to you. Where you go and who you know, if you close up or if you grow.
Academic poetry, which I've spent the last 2 years, when I was in the graduate school program, academic poetry can sometimes come across very dry and boring. I think that the two communities could really learn a lot from each other, because if you have a poem that, I could read those same poems, and if I read them very boring and with no sort of energy to it, it's the same exact words, but you might fall asleep, And then at the same time, I could read a poem that's not so impressive, but I do it with so much expression that you feel like it's more meaningful than maybe it really is. I really enjoy traveling internationally. It really informs me as an artist, as a poet, as a musician. I've had a very nice time here in Tunisia. Everyone has been very warm and welcoming and made me feel very welcome and at home here. It's just interesting to observe, just to learn about the culture, to look around, the people walking down the street, the buildings, the architecture, the history. So it's been a very nice experience. It's an interesting mixture of cultures here also. I've spent time in Kuwait and in Turkey, so I've been in Muslim countries before and where Arabic is spoken. And then I've also spent time in France, in both Paris and in Nice, in the south of France, so it's interesting to see the combination of the French culture and the Arabic culture together. So my program here has primarily been workshop oriented, so it's about working with teenagers, sharing my poetry with them and then helping them to write some of their own poetry, just kind of showing them some opportunities and guidance to voice their opinions and their feelings about the world, things that are happening that they have an opinion about. I think the thing that always fascinates me is that literally every country I've been to, from Kuwait to Denmark, from Turkey to Greece, Russia, West Africa, London, Ireland, just that teenagers are the same all over the world. So the teenagers that I worked with here in Tunisia is very much the same as the teenagers that I work with back home in Los Angeles, as well as all the other countries that I visited. There's a sense of excitement, of intelligence, of wanting to express themselves. Like I said, I think the teenagers are pretty much the same all over the world. Just they're in that interesting chapter of life where you're not a child anymore, but you're not yet fully an adult. So there's a lot of just thinking and figuring things out and kind of finding their footing in the world and really coming into their own voices and their own opinions. Young people oftentimes have a lot of wisdom. They haven't really been jaded yet, which tends to happen as we get older. So the teenagers here in Tunisia are very, very similar to the teenagers I've worked with in other countries. There's that strength and that sort of innocence in that age group. Is universal. That music and poetry is one of the best ways to communicate with people all over, because it's not just based on generation or culture or color or like these poems that I've shared with you, for example, I have shared them in every country that I've been to. So I think in same thing with music. I mean, we can think of the music that really moves us. You don't necessarily have to always speak the language of the person that's singing to feel the, think about like Italian opera. You might not understand every word, but you can feel the emotion. So I think that music and poetry is actually a wonderful way to cross those boundaries and to communicate whatever message. My message to Tunisian youth, my message really to everyone on the planet is to just really be authentic and genuine, to not operate from a place of what other people will think or be guided or misguided by what's happening around you, but rather to go within and to express yourself. Because there's a lot of things happening in the world that need to be addressed, you know, and there's a lot of things that can change if people really speak about them. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about poetry and music, is that it provides us a platform to talk about things that are happening. So I encourage young people, really all people, to use art as a way to express themselves. You know, they say that the highest form of conversation is sharing ideas, is exchanging ideas, as opposed to talking about other people or talking about pre-existing facts, but to converse about new things, new thoughts, different angles, different ways of thinking. And I think that poetry is a way to do that. It's a way to communicate ideas. It's a way to communicate with other people and grow and learn together from one another's opinions and experiences. And so, yes, I absolutely think that poetry can be something that can nurture people and nurture the community to come together and to rebuild.
The systematic genocide of my people, brown skin behind bars, locked up behind bars, trapped behind bars, enslaved behind bars, kept in line behind bars, counted behind bars, there are more bars. Selling alcohol on a single reservation in Oklahoma, then in all of Ventura County, counting me in, because I'm down for the revolution, which may not be televised and may not get radio play, but it will be told through poetry, because somewhere there is a poem. This poem speaks to me and draws me in like an amusement park to a kid. I want to freak this poem and dream this poem and share it with y'all. Hold up, shh. I just did.